Good evening, and thanks for joining us tonight at 11. You know, it seems like every night we come out about this time and tell you about yet another shooting, another murder, as Indianapolis marks yet another record year for homicides. And more, we're seeing young Hoosiers stuck in the middle of all the gun violence. So tonight we start our big story with not one, but two mothers who saw their sons caught in the crossfire, and their message to people resorting to violence as a solution to their problems.
The pain feels just as deep as it did the day I got the phone call.
A mother's love is unmatched.
I still cry every day.
December 15th is a day that Tanya Hegwood will never forget. 1 year ago today, her 17-year-old son Darnell was shot and killed sitting in a parked car in Hendricks County. The worst day of her life.
Trying to figure out how to live in a world without him. It sucks because I don't want to live in a world without him.
1 year later, she spends her days grasping for anything just to feel close to him.
Instead of kissing my son goodbye every morning, I kiss his urn goodbye. You know, instead of hugging him, I hug his urn. I talk to his urn a lot. My whole life is turned upside down, all because these four boys decided to follow him a total of almost 20 minutes and then chose to murder him in front of a bunch of school kids.
She says she misses the simple things about Darnell the most. He was very active, loved sports, had a lot of friends, and was set to graduate early with his core 40.
And he wasn't perfect, I'll be the first to admit it, but he had the right heart. And he was very giving and kind. And so I think he deserves to be remembered.
There is some peace in knowing the four men accused of killing her son have since been caught after spending months trying to help investigators with the case.
Just kept watching all their posts and then learned who their friends were and then watched their friends. And eventually I was able to give that information then to the police.
That's why Tanya has made it her mission to keep his legacy going by sharing his story.
That he is forever a legend, he's forever remembered, and that even though they took his life, I refuse to let them take his greatness.
And she hopes others will help remember him too at a vigil next week, honoring the 1 year since his passing.
This year, we've seen time and time again the ongoing impact this gun violence has on young Hoosiers. Just a couple of nights ago, we saw a 10-year-old was shot while sleeping in his Eastside apartment. Thank you, Ja'Cory's mother tells us he's out of the hospital tonight. But as you can imagine, he's scared and he doesn't want to go back to that apartment after there were dozens of shots fired into the building. A targeted shooting, the mother believes, that was meant for a neighbor.
Nothing was that deep, or nothing could be resolved for an innocent 10-year-old boy to be shot. Y'all could have handled it a different way. Y'all know kids is in them apartments.
3 other children were in the apartment sleeping at the time of the shooting, and now the family has moved to a hotel temporarily in hopes they'll be safe.
So like I said, be prepared for anything. Even at home, we're not safe in our own home. I'm happy to be alive, and I'm happy for my children to be alive. And I'm glad I'm not planning a funeral.
The rising gun violence across central Indiana, especially in Indianapolis, is a really big focus for state lawmakers in the new year. Tomorrow, 5 state senators are laying out their proposals to try and cut down on violence. Their main push is reforming the current bail bond system and monitoring suspects out of jail awaiting trial.
And we're hearing these stories for a while now about people getting out on low bail or no bail after they just committed another crime.
State lawmakers aren't alone in their calls for change. Both the 10-Point Coalition and Indy Fraternal Order of Police, the police union, are calling for an end to automatic bond for repeat offenders. They also want a law that requires judges to review probable cause affidavits instead of just charges when seeking a bond amount.
It ensures fair charging and subsequent appropriate bond for the crimes that are alleged.
We have more details on the current push for bail bond reform and details for tomorrow's state lawmaker announcement online at WTHR.com. And that wraps up tonight's big story.